Boys and girls, it's Mrs. Hall here. Today we're going to read a story called The Retake. Your final assignment for a grade will be to read the story. It's written in third-person point of view, but you're going to write a journal entry in first-person point of view. So follow along with me as we read the story together, The Retake. Here's an illustration of Andy and his little friend, and it says here in the caption, "Ugh, Utah was the washing machine," Andy said, staring at a map during lunch. "New Jersey is eating Pennsylvania, and Ohio is a chicken nugget," Andy whispered to himself. Hunched over his desk, Andy ran his finger over a blank United States map. On each state was a number, and on a separate paper, Andy had written the numbers 1 through 50. After 20 minutes, the numbers were all he had to show for his work. Okay, and Utah is the washing machine. No, Montana is the washing machine. Or North Dakota. Gah, they're all washing machines. Mr. Crane looked up from his desk. "Everything okay, Andy?" Andy hadn't realized his confusion was so obvious. He felt his face get hot, and he set his pencil down in defeat. It wasn't the first time Andy had blanked during a test. No matter how hard he studied, nothing seemed to stay in his brain for long. Memory tricks helped a little, and after 5 nights of poring over an old map laid out on his bedroom floor, Andy had even started to feel a glimmer of hope. Let's go to the next page. "Time's up," Mr. Crane started collecting answer sheets. "You'll get these back later today. Come see me if you need to retake it." Andy quickly shoved this blank test into the pile. He wanted to forget about it, but his brain seemed to forget only the things it was supposed to remember. "Ugh, Utah was the washing machine," Andy said, staring at a map during lunch. Andy's friend Aaron shrugged. "You only need a 70 to pass." "Well, it's hard to get a 70 when you hand in a blank sheet of paper," Andy said. "You really turned it in blank?" said Aaron. "What about the chicken nuggets and stuff?" Andy shook his head. "It helps a little, but why bother writing down 3 states?" Aaron popped a grape into his mouth. "Well, Mr. Crane will let you retake it tomorrow." "Great. Maybe tomorrow I'll remember 4 states." Andy was the only one standing at Mr. Crane's desk after school. Apparently, everyone else had done fine. "I'm sorry," Andy said quickly. "For what?" Mr. Crane asked. For not trying, I guess." "Andy," Mr. Crane said, "I saw you. I think you were trying, weren't you?" "I guess," Andy admitted. "It wasn't easy to fail when people thought you hadn't tried. But this teacher wasn't fooled." Mr. Crane motioned toward the back wall. "Do you have time to help me straighten up a bit?" Andy wasn't in a hurry to walk home and tell his mom about the latest flop. "Yeah, sure," he said as he walked to the back of the room. He picked a pile of magnets, each with the name of a state on it. On the wall hung a large magnetic map, part of a review game the class had been playing. Andy almost tossed the magnets into a box, but something was bothering him. He shuffled through the pile. "There," Andy said as he stuck the Utah magnet into place. "And while I'm at it," he pulled out New Jersey and Pennsylvania and placed them on the map. As he stepped back to take in his work, Andy felt a sudden jolt of confidence. He looked down to see Montana on top of the pile, and the words leaped to the front of his mind. "An old man with a beard." He slapped the Montana magnet on the map. "Michigan is a mitten. Connecticut connects New York and Rhode Island. Ohio is still a chicken nugget." Andy barely noticed that Mr. Crane had gotten up from his desk. "Does it help to move the pieces around while you think of all the great phrases you memorized?" Mr. Crane asked. Andy shrugged. Yes, I guess it does." "Well, I think it's a fine way to practice. How about you come back here tomorrow and run through it again?" So the next day after school, Andy stopped by Mr. Crane's room and took another shot at the map. He felt more confident than ever. Something about combining memory tricks with moving the pieces around on the board made everything flow. For the first time, Andy felt as if the things he had been studying were sticking in his brain. And when he was done, Andy stopped at Mr. Crane's desk. So I guess I'll see you tomorrow for the retake. Mr. Crane nodded toward the map. How about right now? You look ready to me. Just promise you won't peek at your masterpiece back there. Andy hesitated. Was he really ready? There was only one way to find out. An 88? Andy, that's great. Andy's mom squeezed his arm as she looked over the test at home. So what's your secret? Mr. Crane says I might learn better by being active. I think he's right. After the retake, Andy felt as if he could tackle anything. He was already thinking about how to make a clay model for the frog anatomy quiz on Friday. Well, said his mom, I'm glad you found something that works for you. We'd better hang this test on the fridge. Actually, said Andy, this one's going on the washing machine. All right, that's the end of the story. So today's assignment is to write a journal article or a journal where you will be Andy, and you're going to do it in first-person point of view, and you're going to tell us how Andy thinks and feels as he's taking this test and how he has to retake the test. Thanks for listening today. Hope you do fine. We'll see you soon. Bye.